Good evening and welcome to the June 25th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If everybody would rise for the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome this evening. We've already cleared up the executive session for the evening, and that's complete. We have no public hearing. Any announcements from the board tonight? Sensing none, we'll go to any additions or deletions to the agenda.
Just one point, we have guests tonight, so I don't know if you want to move item 9C right up after the farmer's market discussion. That's up to you.
Okay. Any preference from the board?
I'd make that as a motion.
I'll second that.
And moved, seconded to move 9C up under 5. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, we'll move that up. Which takes us to number 5. We have initial discussions with Kala Godard relative to a farmer's market, potentially. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm coming here on behalf of hopefully Waterboro farmers market that I started to organize along with 2 other vendors who own farms locally. We've contacted Jim Carl with the Historical Society in regards to using the space at the Taylor House on Old Alfred. And he put us in touch with you. We're hoping to set it up for Mondays 2 to 6 from July 22nd through December 28th. And so far we've started a Facebook page to garner interest from the community. We have 16 vendors now. I've had 3 in the last probably 12 hours contact me in regards to wanting to participate. And we have vendors that would like to do everything from dairy to vegetable produce, cut flowers, perennials, beef, pork, chicken, fish, you name it. I think we've got it covered with the vendors that are interested. We are looking to start this July 22nd or as soon as we can, pending the approval of the use of the town and agreement of the Historical Society. We're also going to be working towards being organized as a nonprofit, 501c3. It just takes time.
That'll take you probably long before. You'll be done before we get there.
Absolutely. So we've created a bunch of bylaws, and I have copies of those here for you if you'd like to see them. As far as the requirements for each vendor will be required to carry their own liability insurance. They have to comply with all state and local ordinances, maintain licensure with the state for whether it's a dairy or mobile vending. Whatever the state requires for them to be there, they're required to have it before they start at the market.
Is there anything that the market has to have from the state perspective?
So
License,
the market itself, you can chime in on this. Delaney is one of the people helping me in this. As far as the state's concerned, we couldn't find anything where they needed to approve the farmer's market first. Basically, it was more the land use that we needed to get started.
and then it's up to the individual vendors to carry whatever
Yes.
license or whatever.
Yes, and once we're a nonprofit, we will obtain an insurance that covers the market as its own entity. Unfortunately, insurance can't cover a non-entity, so until we have that nonprofit, it's going to be up to the vendors individually.
Mm-hmm.
We're also looking for an attorney, an accountant to get this squared away and set up correctly from the get-go.
Okay. Questions?
the board.
So, Jim's indicated that you can use that area?
So Jim has said it was okay if it's okay with the town because the town holds the lease, or they have a lease with the town since the town owns the property. And then it would go to Jim on the 27th for a vote there to make sure everyone that is involved with the Historical Society is in agreement to use it as well.
I spoke with Jim, it was this morning, I guess, and he told me about the upcoming meeting, which is good. And I said I didn't personally have any objection, but it was up to the board. And I think the board has everything else that you need to know. I've been pretty organized in terms of the information you have, and I think the timing is good. One thing Jim did say, that you were going to set up the booths on the grassy area, and the ice rink will be for cars, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's smart. Because if you get busy, you'll need that for parking.
Right.
One big thing is to have absolutely no parking on the road. Yes.
On the roads?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something that has to be strictly enforced.
And we can put up signs and maybe even cones to block it off.
Hopefully you'll have enough on site, but people tend to spill out.
Okay.
Yeah, and if during all of this, you need the board to add that area for a specific time frame to the no parking ordinance, I think we could do that
Okay.
relatively quickly.
Okay.
We have some no parking signs that are used, and we have dozens of them that we use for Old Home Days. And I think those maybe could be put into service.
Okay.
Yeah, half a dozen of them, I would think
That would be great.
Right.
Have you made contact with the town's contract deputy yet on traffic and parking
I have
considerations? Just, you know, just as a heads up for them so that they know that this is going to be going on, so they can be watchful of it. I'm not saying that you have to go out and hire a deputy or anything, but
I have not contacted them yet. We were at a standstill until we secured a location. We have a lot of things ready to fall into place moving forward. We didn't want to put more of our time and money until we knew that we had a space for it to go and that the town was going to be okay with this happening.
I can't picture more than 20 or 25 cars at a time down there. They're gonna come and go. It ain't like you're going to the mall
people
for shopping.
the people that specifically go to the event is one thing, but you got, when you have activity there, there's going to be traffic that's going to, the looky-loos or the gawkers or, you know, the rubberneckers or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
You know, they're going to be,
Yeah, like, what's going on there?
yeah.
Am I missing something? Yeah, I mean, certainly I think, you know, because the town leases that to the Historical Society. And typically I think we've jointly tried to approve whatever things that they wanted to do and whatnot. Certainly you've also got the, you know, the opportunity of Friendship Park and whatnot. So it's not, I think it's something that, but I think it would work at the Taylor House, right? I mean, that would make.
I think the traffic pattern there, it would catch a lot of traffic to the lake, to Arrowhead and out.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that can really take off.
We started the Facebook page, and within 5 days we already had 145 likes on the page. We've received messages daily from the community or notifications where people are asking when is it going to start. They saw it and now they're expecting it and really wanting to see it. So I'm very excited to be able to offer this, and I think it's going to be a huge thing for community. And at the Taylor House there's so much green space that people can bring their families, shop around, just enjoy being outdoors in the environment.
You're going to have a petting zoo type of thing there too, or because I know that small goats and stuff attract kids like a magnet.
They are, yes, everybody loves goats, and I have plenty of goats to go around. And I guess that would be at discretion. That was on my list of questions was, would we need special permissions for a petting zoo, or if we had someone that wanted to play music. I know there's There's a gentleman named Banjo Bob that comes and plays his guitar and sings at other farmers markets, which he draws in his own people. It's a great addition, sings some old tunes. It's great for the vendors to listen to something all day while we're doing it. But we would be interested to know if there were any special permissions we need for things of that nature.
Petting zoo's gotta be licensed by the state, and I don't think you wanna get involved.
Right, right.
It's, you don't want.
Petting zoos can be
You don't want it
tricky.
around your food.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just creates a liability.
Definitely.
It's,
And being on town property,
yeah.
that would definitely, you would have to say.
So what's your pleasure, guys? Want to take a formal vote?
I would move that we allow the farmer's market on the Taylor House property.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to allow, from the town's perspective, we still gotta get through the historical society, but from the town's perspective, any discussion? I mean, ultimately, they need.
No, I just wanted to question whether you wanted with the approval of the
I think,
Taylor House
I
committee.
think that's the second approval that you'll need, right? So,
It would, I would, so I believe in talking to Glenn, I would need land use written out by the property owner, and then I'd probably need a second one from the Historical Society with their lease on
Well,
it.
they have a 99-year lease, so they're.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about that outside.
Okay.
That's
Should
just,
you be talking your business, and any charges, they would charge you with the Historical Society and not with the board.
Okay,
I don't know what that is, it's none of my business, but they'll
they
charge
haven't
you.
said anything as of
You
yet.
probably find that out in a night or two, so
Perfect.
that's up to them.
Okay.
all right, so that's with the understanding that they still need approval from the Historical Society. Anything else? All those in favor? Opposed?
4-0.
Let us know if you need anything else.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna move, new business, item C, Susie Lane, private road status discussion. I think Gary has, sent off a notice to everyone, involved. This is an initial discussion of, where and if we're gonna go anywhere with, town acceptance or possible town acceptance. So Gary, you wanna,
Can we kick it off?
kick it off and we'll go from there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for my own edification here, how many people are here for Susie Lane versus the, oh, okay, majority there. Good, thank you for coming, first of all. In 2004, the planning board approved your subdivision, as you know, 10 lots. It's up there on the screen. The subdivision plan was copied and given to Richard Serwa, who came in 3 months ago.
Approximately, yes.
This issue's been going on for a lot longer than that.
That is correct.
I'd say resurrected with vim and vigor in the last few months. We also have a screenshot of the notes on the plan, and I don't know how deep we're gonna get into those. I assume we'll need those, so we can pull that up on here for the notes in the bottom left corner on the plan, and the road profile as well. The issue here is, these folks bought in here under, correct me if I'm wrong, under the assumption that the road was built to standards that could possibly be accepted by the town. And Mass Camp Road is up here, and there's Susie Lane, and everybody in the audience pretty much knows where it is because you lived there. There were turnaround for a fire truck and snowplow here. There is not one here per the approved plan, which is what you're looking at right now. The issues that came up as we've walked through all of this really boiled down to the first one that would be helpful for selectmen input is to the coring of the road. There were not supposed to be any building permits issued unless the road was built to town standards. And if you could go to maybe the third slide, Jim, please. This one here is part of the subdivision plan that shows you have 15 inches of a gravel base, 3 inches of crushed gravel, and asphalt on top of that. Dayton Sand and Gravel poured the asphalt to show that they put enough asphalt on there per the plan specs from the developer, Mr. Susi. But what they did not do, and their equipment does not do, is go and core the gravel sub-base. So neither Mr. Sirois or any of the residents, I guess, or myself, so far, the research we've done, we have no idea if the gravel sub-base is adequate in there. That's the first big piece of information that we're missing in terms of whether the road, could and should be accepted by what is the selectmen. And I don't know if you got the word out to everybody. I have been telling people that this had to go to a town vote. Since the new charter in 2012 and 13, that's no longer the case. The Board of Selectmen has the authority and the responsibility to accept a town road. So if that didn't get to you from Richard, we'll clear that up now. And I apologize for that oversight, because that was a change that happened in the 2012 charter. And back up one slide, please, Jim. Here we talk about the clustered subdivision, age restricted, at least at that time. Village Pines is a private roadway named M.R.S.A Lane, changed to Susie Lane since then, and all lot owners are responsible for 1/10 of the cost for maintenance of upkeep and plowing, as you would see in any private road at the time. Now, I've told at least 2 of the folks that live there that if it is built to town standards, the town can accept it. But I don't know what you were told when you bought your house and what it has in the deeds there, but it's not an automatic acceptance if it is built to town standards. I think I made that clear to Richard. I just want to say that in public. It's up to the Board of Selectmen when we all have all the information we need on whether or not this is accepted as a town road. Richard had a copy of the memo that is before the Board of Selectmen. Did that get circulated to most everybody here?
I can't say that the updated copy has.
Okay.
They all got a copy of the original.
Okay, that had most of the issues there. So I spoke with Richard, I spoke with Gerald Susie, that came into my office. I spoke with Dayton Sand and Gravel. I went to Lyman and talked to the code officer, Patty Berry, who used to be the code officer here at the time. And this has been a lot of time scattered over the last several months. I went into all the 10 subdivision lot files for you folks' homes, and I found a letter from civil engineer that talked about the road base, but specifically said the cores had not been done. So the first issue, I guess, before the selectmen here is let's talk about the coring data. There's a cost issue there if it is to be done. I don't know what the selectmen think about accepting this new town road. I don't think we've done one in the 6 years I've been here. So unless there are other questions, or unless Richard wants to chime in.
I'd like to put forth what I prepared for you folks tonight.
Absolutely.
And since you began and covered some of the points, I'm going to go off script, and I'll introduce myself as Richard Sirla, and I'm a resident of Susie Lane. I purchased my home from the contractor, Gerald Susie, in March. And at that time, the discussion was it had to remain a private road up until it was accepted by the town, meeting the town specifications, okay? I also brought, and I want to thank the selectmen for allowing us to speak here tonight, and I want to especially thank Gary, because in the past, soliciting questions to the town of Waterboro on other issues, including this one, has become extremely frustrating. At times, members of the public were ridiculed, members of the public were demeaned, and nobody behind that desk wanted to take responsibility for what was done. Okay, and when I speak of you and me today, I will speak of me as the people behind me who are my friends and neighbors. And I will speak to you as the past and former members of the town of Waterboro, employees, as well as past and former members of the selectmen of the town of Waterboro. So it's not a personal affront to anybody up here, and I don't want to insult any of my neighbors specifically or friends behind me. Is that okay with you folks before we continue? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because at times I'd have discussions with Gary and I say you, and Gary would say, well, I wasn't here. When I say you, it's in a general broad scope. Is that all right with you folks?
That's fine.
Okay?
You could change you for the town, I guess is,
Pardon?
you could change you for the,
Okay.
and say the town.
All right.
Okay, that covers everything, but whether it's staff or whether it's the select board.
All right. There were specific criteria that was supposed to be completed prior to a building permit allowed in that development. I have a copy of a building permit here. Unless it's been done and nobody here knows about it, none of these specifications, or the vast majority of them, have never been met. All right? That's not an issue of the 10 residents on Susie Lane. We had no control over whether these specifications on that road, whether it's pavement, whether it's gravel, or whatever, was met. That's the obligation of the town of Waterboro, to see that that was completed prior to issuing these permits. I certainly understand that Mrs. McKenna issued the permits thinking she was doing right. She indicated that she was new at the time and possibly a mistake or mistakes were made. I'm not absolving myself of any mistakes that I've made in the past. I was in the potato business. I sold potatoes in seed variety all over North America, from British Columbia to Alberta to Saskatchewan to Quebec to Mexico, California, Idaho, name them. I've been there. And in the 25 years I sold potatoes, I made some mistakes. Whether it's geographically, whether it's market, it doesn't matter. But when I made the mistake, I stood up and corrected my mistakes. Or if I made a pricing error, I held my price. The goal tonight is to work with you folks in trying to get this road accepted as a town road. And I trust and I hope that when you guys are in discussions, you involve us, because we are part of this community. There are many, many, many dollars that are turned over to the town in the form of taxes out of this little group of people. And we are not complaining about the mill rate. We're not complaining about the cost of education. We're not complaining about fire and ambulance. All we want is a little bit of consideration and a little bit of spirit of fairness in accepting this road. That's what I have. And I do want to thank you for allowing me to speak.
Let me ask you a question. Is there a road association today that takes care of the...
There is no official road association as it exists today. We are all responsible for having the road plowed, which was done for the last 10 years, well, 13 years since I've been there, by Jerry Soucy initially. And when he bowed out, Mike Soucy took over the road. And he's taking care of it. He sends us all a bill, and we pay it.
But he sends 10 individual bills.
10 individual bills.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Is the homeowners association, is that, I understand that may have lapsed as a legal entity.
That, from my knowledge, if somebody else set it up, There is no homeowners association on Susie Lane.
Can I ask a question, Dennis?
Yep, go ahead.
It's actually for David. What's the condition of that road right now? Is it in good shape?
The pavement is good. There are a few things that were not completed, the turnarounds were not completed properly.
But in general, what's there is in
In
good shape?
general, the surface is good.
Thanks.
When a snowplow goes in there with a wing, can you get down through and back out through, striking something on the right of way?
Not the first 30 to 40 feet, there are trees on one side that are gonna hinder.
Jim? Jim? Can you switch to the site plan, please? Do you want this, or you want me to just duck in right in here?
Yeah, yeah. There are trees there that are gonna hinder the snow being pushed off. And so the edge of the road width would get narrower as the winter went along. Or someone would have to take the snow from one side and put it on the other side. Taking those trees out would be tricky, because I'm sure some of the roots have probably been broken and dug up when they put the water line in, but they definitely would affect the condition of the pavement, removing those trees. Like I said, the turnaround, down each turnaround is,
When we're talking trees, we're talking the first 50 to 60 feet or into almost where that first yellow marker
that's
is.
correct.
And the trees are right out to the edge of the pavement within 3 or 4 feet.
Even closer than that.
Yeah, they're very close, but the lot line is right there too. To that.
Yes, that's the question. Whose land are the trees on?
Well, that's the question I had the other day when I
That's
looked at it.
a good question, Dennis. It could be that the property line splits them. That may be why they were never taken out. It would have to be surveyed to determine
Were they
that.
planted when the development went in, or were
Oh, no, they've been there.
have
They
been
were
there?
there.
Those trees have been there for a while.
These
sir.
trees were, they've been there since the 47 fire.
Oh.
If
So
they
these are-
wasn't,
these are
if
not
they didn't
small
survive the
pines.
47 fire.
You know, they're 50 feet high.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to go back to, I prefer not to speak in ifs and when and possibly in that. If the specifications of this road are met, and if the width is what you folks have determined on this site plan, I cannot, speaking for myself, I can't worry about how you're going to navigate it. We did exactly, or you issued a building permit which told us that this met the specifications for the town of Waterboro.
No,
That's not what that
No.
means.
because you was issued a building permit for the subdivision, but that, if you don't build that road to the specs of the town of Waterboro, that means that the town of Waterboro is not going to accept that road, mister.
Say that again?
You've got to build the road going in there to the town specs. And if you got trees growing out to the edge of the pavement, we can't accept that because we can't send our town plows or the contractor in there to stave his equipment up to plow that road.
It is clearly stated in the Declaration of Protective Covenants, conditions, restrictions, and common easements, Article 7, which I believe you all have a copy. Irma Vera Lane, which is now Susie Lane, shall be constructed to the town of Waterboro standards and shall be private until the town accepts said road.
And Ed, you just read it. till the town accepts it. We're not going to accept that if we can't get in there with a truck and a wing.
Then you put the cart in front of the horse.
No, sir.
How so?
It does not say that we've got to accept that road. We
It's,
do not have to accept anything.
but it does say you can't issue a building permit till it meets your specifications. It says that.
But it doesn't say that we're going to accept that road.
Could you answer the first question, please?
The road construction probably was met.
I don't want to deal in probably ifs and maybe.
But you're going the same route as I am, sir.
Okay,
And you're saying that we need to accept that. We do not need to accept that road until we got a full width of right-of-way down through that. You guys have got your houses, you've got everything you wanted, except making this a town road. And when this went through the planning board, this was told to the planning board that this would never be a town road. It was going to be a private road, and it was going to be maintained by the 10 lots that was in there. Right now, to get that ladder truck that we have in town down there and turn that around on that hammerhead, you can't do that. And you cannot turn a Ford or an International Wheeler with a 10-foot wing and a 12-foot blade around anywhere in that development. He's gonna have to back out
Can I ask you a
because
question?
he never will turn the truck around.
Got a hand up in the back, sir. Mr.
My
Dow?
name's Joshua Hudak. I live right there on the lot 10 on the corner there. I just think you're misunderstanding what Richard is trying to say. He's not saying you must accept the road. He's saying a mistake was made when issuing the building permit when it did not meet the specifications of the city. That's all he's saying, is to just accept the fact that a mistake was made.
He's saying that that needs to be a town road. It does not need to be a town road.
you are focused on the fact of accepting it as a town road. I'm focused on that, as well as this council telling me this road was not met to town specifications and it was done in error. Is that correct?
No.
Could I say something?
Yep.
We're talking about two different things here.
Oh, I understand that,
Right.
Mr. McNeil.
And I think, all this talk about pouring and everything, I think once the town started to issue building permits, they signed off on the road. I don't think the composition of the road is an issue. I think we need to stand behind the fact that we issued permits, which was a de facto admission that that road was built to our standards, because that's what was required of us. But as far as go ahead.
If I'm sitting here and I'm a buyer and I read the jargon here, I'm thinking this road is going to be built to specs. I'm not thinking, well, you know what? I think we're just going to give them building permits, because I think it does.
But by giving those permits, we were saying that the road was built to our specifications.
And was it?
Even if it wasn't. But as far as accepting the road and plowing, I mean, that's a totally separate issue.
Correct.
So we understand that,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's talking about coming down for wing truck and stuff. What do they use to plow Mass Camp Road? What do they use for Mass Camp Road?
The main drive, the
Mass
swing
Camp
down
Road,
through
yeah, the
Mass
swing road.
Camp
What do
Road?
they use to plow
I'm
that?
not sure what the new contractor uses.
So how do you know it's gonna be one of those?
They don't
big
come down there
wheels?
with the big wing to do Mass Camp Road.
I'm not sure what he uses.
Yes, they do.
They do?
No.
Couldn't say.
I'm not, I'm assuming that whoever plows the subdivision today uses a one-ton truck with,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
So the issue in my mind is, let's talk a little bit about, yes, there was, in my view, an oversight by the then CEO to issue permits, and it was predicated on the fact that there was a professional engineer's letter, right, who said that there were certain things that he felt that the road was built to specifications. However, he also had recommendations in here that it still had to be top coated, the wear coat. It still had to have the turnarounds done, okay, and whatnot. Now, for whatever reason, and I think one of these letters is in every one of your folders, right? The code officer at the time issued the permits predicated on the fact that those recommendations were going to be done. Okay, that, and I understand what the permit said, all right, or what the plan said, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that this letter, I think, was used to convince the CEO that at the time that the road was built to specifications, right? And however, in this letter, there were certain issues that were called out. Number one, he said there was no coring done, which I think we all understand, gravel coring done, all right? But he then says, but given that the road is well drained, there's no disruption in the road, his professional opinion was that it was good material and good drainage material that was used, okay? Still, there was no coring done, but as far as the top coat, the wear coat, as they call it, was that ever done? Was there a second coat ever applied to the road?
Yes.
Was it done specific to, you know, the crown and all of that stuff? I'm not sure that we know that, do we?
I have not checked that.
It was done after, we bought the last house, and it was done before we moved in, and then we were given our occupancy permit.
So it sounds to me like the CEO held up an occupancy permit until the final paving was done.
And the issue at the end is in that top bubble at the top of the
Got
screen.
people, I understand, Mr. Abbott, that you say, I'm thinking that the last permit was held up for that. I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to stand firm on that. I don't want to deal in possibilities here. Okay? That could very well have been the case, but we don't know that.
Oh, I understand that. It
I don't want-
Could very well be the case that she bought into, that this told her from a professional engineer that the road was built to spec. However, he said certain things had to be finished, okay? And it's my assumption, and I can't go back all these years and identify why things were done the way they were done, but it was done.
Yeah.
It's over, done with.
And
The
how's
issue
that my
now-
responsibility?
The issue, I'm not saying that it is.
Okay.
But the road still has some requirements that have to be done for it to be, for the town to say now, we'll entertain the fact that the road will be accepted as this town road. I mean, this is not the first rodeo, okay, that we've been through. It's now up to the selectmen to accept it, but we used to take them to town meeting, okay? And I can tell you for years, there were certain roads in town that were at town meeting, and the voters said no, all right? And there was also certain roads that were embraced and said, okay, it's up to town specs, we'll accept the road. That's the will of the voters. That's now been passed on to this board, right? In the last, well, since the charter changed, I don't know that we've had, other than in 2008, I think, was the last warrant article that went to town meeting on a road acceptance. And that was accepted by the town voters. And it was Eon Way or whatever it was, right? So this is a little bit of a new ground that we're plowing, that we're gonna ultimately take responsibility and at least say yes or no. I had to say yes right now when we know that there are things that are problematic, okay? For us, number one, to plow it, to be able to get equipment in and out, and those kind of things. So I think what we're trying to get through, and Gary kind of started to talk about this, there are some things that have to be done. The turnaround is going to be finished. Those are the things that I think still go back on the developer, but, you know, that's, he had an obligation to build it to the specifications.
Mr. Abbott, the developer is Mr. Whitten, isn't it? The developer is Mr. Everett Whitten.
He sold it to, he sold it to.
It's stated that Mr. Whitten, Mr. Everett Whitten, was the developer of the property, and interesting enough, he was also a member of the Town of Waterboro Planning Board. Okay? So he had dual purposes.
So what are you implying?
No, I'm not implying anything.
Okay, so.
I'm
let's
not implying
let's
anything.
Let's not get
But you
back.
said Mr. Susi was the developer.
Mr. Susi bought the development from Everett Whitten before anything happened.
Mr. Whitten passed away.
He
And
sold,
the family sold the development, undeveloped.
so Mr. Susi has an obligation, he bought this development undeveloped, and he has an obligation to meet the specifications of it, all right? And I think he's been pretty open with coming in and trying to
I met
resolve this,
him, I
right?
met him for the first time, and I didn't ask him about going and doing all these other things. I was looking for information at the time, so he and I had not had the discussion about the turnarounds. You flip to the site plan, please, Jim? About the turnarounds being inadequate. These are supposed to be about 75 feet long, and they're about half that right there. It's fairly damp, and obviously they're not that width, the tree issue we talked about, so I did not bring those up to him, just so the board knows.
Well,
I talked with him.
I think we gotta move at least in that direction to understand,
Excuse me, which direction is that, Mr. Abbott?
at least having a discussion with
Okay.
the gentleman that developed it. The guy that made all the money of selling the houses to you people.
But you know, if I was sitting in Mr. Susi's shoes, if I was sitting in his shoes, I would say to you folks, I met your specifications and I have 10...
No, he didn't, because
Oh.
you have a letter here that's signed by a professional engineer that says you have to finish what he recommended.
You know where I'm going back to, huh? Then why did we issue the building permits?
Okay?
I'm going to keep hounding on that.
The code officer, and I can't answer that question other than what she told Gary when he talked to her.
But again, it's two different things. It's like, how can we accept a road that you can't plow?
But the issue is that the road does not meet specifications. That's why you folks don't want to entertain taking the road as the town. I understand that as being the crux of the matter.
And then you bought into something, and you bought into a hornet's nest, because you didn't do your final inspection to find out if the road had been built to standards before you come to apply for a building permit, sir.
Oh, Mr. Woodson, you gave me one of these. You gave me one of these. What does this represent? What does this represent?
In the last 10 years, sir, did you pay for the plowing in there and know that that was not a town road?
I paid for the plowing there because nobody on this board would even talk to me, including the existing road commissioner. When I went to visit the planner, the road commissioner walked in on our meeting and he asked what we were discussing, and he says, as long as I'm here and road commissioner of the town of Waterboro, this will never be a town road, and that's that.
I'll tell you why that was said. Because when Mr. Whitten was here, he said that that was never going to be a town road. It was going to be owned by the association in that development.
Why all the language?
I was on the planning board at the time. I got off before this final plan was signed.
Why all the language?
I also was an abutter. This is a cluster development because there's a lot of wetlands down there, and that was a deal that's one of the cluster developments that was created in the town of Waterboro, and it was for elderly home. And that was the only way that Mr. Whitten could get through without a growth ordinance, which was 3 to 5 years behind as far as getting a building permit. But the federal government came in and said if it's elderly housing, then you can cluster develop or develop a piece of property and make it elderly housing. And this is the way the developer did it. And it was never going to be a town road. It was going to be owned by the association.
Gentleman in the back again.
Do you have written evidence that he said that that was going to be that, or are you going off of his word?
I'm going off my memory
Of his word, not
of
a
his
written
word.
statement.
He sat out there in the audience bringing this forward.
Yeah, and my
And
guess
as
is that,
of today, my memory is still pretty good of what went on the planning board of 22 years of experience on it.
Mr. Woodson, what's the biggest hangup of the board accepting this road?
You gotta build it to town standards.
All
And
right.
the right-of-way has got to be clean so that we can plow it.
And
I don't have a problem making this a town road as long as these trucks can get in and get out without being stove up or hung up so that the rest of this town is waiting for that snowplow because it's hung up on
are we
Susie Way.
saying that our ability to plow snow in the town of Waterboro is restricted to one unit or
I'm
one type
talking-
of unit?
We got 7 trucks plowing 56 or 64 miles of road, and to get into one of those small developments and not be able to get turned around today, it just takes time, and it's, if you want to leave that development till the storm is over, we probably can go in. But we got to back that truck out. There's no place to turn that truck around. You've got to plow down to your T, and there ain't room enough in the T to get turned around. You come in, go down there and turn around, you still got this little dog leg up here that's got to have a snowplow. And the only way for that man to get in, come straight in, and then he's got to back out. Turn around, or get the truck turned around and come out, and then when he gets down to that hammerhead, there is not room enough with a blade and a wing and a sander on to get that truck turned around.
Or a fire truck either.
Can I?
the fire truck is a moot
Comment?
point because whether it's a private road or whatever, we're still gonna have a responsibility for fire protection. And
So I guess that's where I was heading. So
Yeah.
now we can't get fire service and we can't get any.
You're
the fire-
you're getting all the service as far as the fire and the rescue, but it don't mean that it ain't gonna get stuck or get off that road trying to get turned around in there. The only way our ladder truck and a couple of our tankers could ever get in there, get turned around, is to back all the way back out to the mass camp road.
Lady in the back row.
Other than when the grass is green.
You know what I'm hearing here?
Do
I'm
we have your
hearing
name?
that we have wetland that we're willing to develop for elderly people. We're willing to issue building permits for homes for elderly people, and yes, I qualify. And we're willing to allow these roads to be built, and really we can't trust that a fire truck could get in and out when we need something? You know, snow removal, fine, we've dealt with it, and we've dealt with Jerry. And we all bought our houses in good faith, trusting that we were receiving a parcel of goods that was from the town of Waterboro in good faith. And we had it in our contracts that after 7 houses, the town of Waterboro was going to accept our development. And I just, you know,
I'm not sure. I guess if you have that, I'd like to see where it says that the town of Waterboro is gonna accept the road.
every neighbor that has
I think
moved in
if-
here,
There's never a guarantee that a town's gonna accept the road. Ask the people on East Shore Road. for 20 years they came to the town of Waterboro, and they got beat every time at town meeting, not necessarily from this board, but
But I'm just hearing a lot of.
there's, relative to the fire protection and all of that, in my opinion, that's a moot point. If there's a fire down there, we're gonna get a truck down in there, okay? Now, whether or not the truck can move around the way that it should be in another development, that's another question. But what I don't want is for people to say, well, now they're not gonna provide fire protection. That's not the case, okay?
Because we provide our taxes
That's
on
right.
time every year.
I think the
You
issue
don't
is,
add to your school system costs.
the issue is whether or not this road, okay, can be made to meet town specification. And I think that's really the discussions that we're gonna have of, okay, what's the cost? We know we gotta take some trees down. What's the hammerhead cost to finish? Those are the kind of things that I think have to be discussed.
Mr. Abbott?
Gentleman in the back.
Sorry.
My name is Ralph Levine. I've been there almost 10 years now. We had an emergency, the fire trucks came in, they backed out, they didn't have no problem. They've been plowing us for almost 9 years or better. He's never had a problem. You don't have to go in there with a wind blade. Go in with a small half-ton pickup. That's all it takes. He plows the snow to the end, he plows the snow to the other end, and he's out of there. Nobody needs a big wing truck to go in there and plow.
And I would agree with you that he's been plowing it with a 1-ton truck or whatever, a pickup truck, right? We unfortunately don't have a contract with our contractor because any one of his trucks has to go on any one of our roads. So we don't get selective of, well, you can do this road with a pickup truck and whatnot. We have a contract with him, it's $500,000 a year, okay, to plow the roads, and he's obligated to have the equipment that we require in the thing. We can't say to him, oh, and by the way, just use a pickup truck on this road, all right? We can't do that. I know that that's the way that it's been plowed, all right? But that's not our intent to go forward. If we're gonna have a road that's a town road, it's gonna receive any vehicle that we're plowing roads with, and it has to, right? We don't have that debate in the morning of, well, take Susie Lane and go over with a pickup truck. So whoever's plowing the east end of town is gonna plow with that truck, whether it's Jellison Road, whether it's any one of the roads in the eastern part of town. So, but I don't disagree that it's been plowed, and they probably haven't had a problem. But he's using a small truck. And unfortunately, we don't have in our contract that he can have small trucks.
Yeah, we do.
You do have a small truck?
Yeah, in the contract there, they can have,
Right.
one tons or smaller.
See, it's problem solving, guys. Let's make it work.
Can I add one clarification? But I didn't bring the fire truck issue up because to even infer that trucks wouldn't come down, and I agree Dennis answered that well. I understand that we replaced somebody's driveway, and I don't know if you folks are in the audience here tonight. I was told by the fire chief that in turning around down
They
there.
didn't replace it, they just did a little repair
Okay.
on our driveway. They didn't go to the turnaround. Instead, they chose to turn around in my driveway.
Okay.
And the turnaround was right beyond my driveway.
All right. Thank you for that. Good enough. Enough said.
So we don't have a road commissioner anymore. Okay, we have a director of public works, and I think we understand what you're asking for. And I think what we need to do is to come back and say this is what's either got to happen or.
I would recommend a site walk so that everybody knows what we're talking. And
we can certainly do that. It's not a problem with getting us, 6, 7 folks together and.
that
If we
way
could
we're
figure
all
out how
on
to
the
do
same
video, I
page.
have an aerial, because I went down there and flew my drone over the whole area the other day. So there's more issues than just there's 2 major issues. One is those trees, and the other is that turnaround. Those have got to be dealt with, because regardless of whether mistakes were made years ago this board is not gonna compound those mistakes by going forward into the future, by making another mistake. I agree, we need to work
What
together.
would the other mistake be?
The other mistake would be accepting this road, right now without correcting the tree problem and the turnaround problem. That would be compounding the issue. So we need to work through that and see how are we gonna be able to take care of that. Now, there's another gentleman down there that lives at the end of the road that saw me flying the drone, and he was telling me there's some issue with the boundary where those trees are, because he had to do some work for somebody or something down there that, caused that issue. And he was enlightening me to a whole bunch of other things that went on, like a couple of the houses were built on vernal pools, and one of the houses, is there anybody here from Lot 9? It's on this diagram.
Well, I can tell you we're on
It
that.
would be the second house on the left after you make the turn. And he said that, and this really has no bearing on the road, but he said that the whole back part of that lot is nothing more than a stump dump.
No.
That they cut a big hole in there and buried all the stumps in there.
We're the last house going down on the left-hand side. We have no issue with water at all.
Oh, you don't have
the
to,
lot beside
Your
it.
lot 8, your lot 8,
it would be the lot beside it.
What number do we put in?
Can you go back to the site plan, Jim? Please.
lot 8 is the one on the top.
Yeah, okay, it's the one to the left, move your marker to the left, right there. I don't know whose lot that is, but he was telling me that,
That mine, Rich?
The young lady in the
No.
back.
That's,
Mary
that's
Beth
Mark
Seaver.
America.
And what was happening, because I had not heard this story.
he said that, what he told me is that there was a big, huge hole dug there, and all the stumps from the adjoining lots were pushed into that, and then it was covered over. I mean, that has no bearing on the road. I'm just telling you that this guy was giving me little pointers about how this development was done, and those things should never have happened way back then. But that's not your fault either, any more than, whether you got a permit or whether you didn't. The end issue remains is we gotta do something about those trees, and we gotta do something about those turnaround before, at least in my mind, before I would give a vote to accept this as a road, because I can't see laying, more problems onto what already exists. I mean, rightly or wrongly, whether decisions were made 22 years ago, or obviously we're dealing with them now. I don't want 20 years from now another board to sit up here and deal with issues on decisions that we made here. Let's not, add fuel to the fire. Let's just correct the problem so that we don't have a fire. So I agree with you to that extent, that we need to work together, and I think it needs to be a discussion back and forth. I don't think you need to be excluded from this. That should be a back and forth discussion on how we're going to resolve this issue.
So let's make this commitment. We will take this on with the board and Gary and David, and we'll do a site walk, and we'll look at estimates of what we've got to do and what's going to be done, and so at least we know what that is.
Sitting here, thinking about that, I'm wondering if the road review didn't do that inspection. In the road review minute, we're going back 22 years ago, and they did a lot of that inspections to save the homeowners money. And that could have been done
No record of it in the file,
in the road review file.
in the subdivision file.
Right. But they
Well,
did do
I'm
quite
sure
a
we'll
bunch
keep
of
talking 22 years.
inspections. They laid at first base, 2 or 3 of the members would go out and give their stamp that it had been done. We had quite an advanced road review committee at the time. It kind of dwindled in the last 5 to 6 years, but started in the 70s and went up through the late 90s, and it worked very closely with the road commissioner. And any of these road jobs that we did or the developers did, a lot of that inspections were done by the road review.
Well, let us do some homework and we will call everybody back when we know at least what direction we're gonna.
Okay, and how do we provide our phone numbers or email addresses?
Thank you. That was my next question. Do you want me to communicate with Richard, or and you take it, or do you want?
I can run with them there. I have the secretary, the road commissioner secretaries right there.
That's fine with me. I'll communicate through the board to Richard, and you take it from there. Either that, or we do everything. So I'm happy to do either one.
We can do that. We can get everybody's name and email address.
We'll do the paperwork, you do the plowing. How's that?
Touche.
Let's see if we can at least move the ball forward. So.
And one other thing, may I tell you to look into, and I don't know who you use for legal, but look into your homeowners association at the Secretary of State's office. And I would say, take a look at what you have to do to make that a legal entity. Because if, and I stress the word if, this board decides to make this a town road, you have to convey it to the town. Right now, my understanding is you cannot do that, because your homeowners association is defunct or out of date. So talk to the Secretary of State, bring that up to snuff, and that'll get that issue. You should do that anyway.
We would gladly do that for you, Mr. Lamb.
You should do that anyway. The homeowners association should still be.
Well, there was never one formed to our knowledge.
I'm sorry?
So if there was a homeowners association formed initially, then Jerry Susi must have done it, because it was
I'm sure there was one filed with the Secretary of State, and
not to our knowledge,
Not to our
because
knowledge.
but he had an entity, I'm sure, that was established with the Secretary of State.
Well, Richard's seen this. I assume you all have this document that is your.
I would almost be willing to bet that Mr. Whitten started that association. I think that it should have gone through the planning board. That was one of the final approvals, that association should have been at least drafted.
This was just registered.
Before I bought my house, I told Chairman Susi, if you're gonna have an association here, I will not buy it. And he told me there is no association.
Well, he's trying to sell homes.
There's a Village Pines LLC. Yes.
There's an association.
But that doesn't only necessarily mean that it was registered. Well, the LLC had to be registered.
LLC would have had to.
With a
Limited liability company.
Secretary of State.
This was active, so I'm told, through 2015.
Well, then it's defunct.
Yes. So you can take care of that easily.
Yeah, but that can be
Renewed.
easily resolved.
So you want to schedule a site walk on the 9th?
We can do that.
I'm not gonna be here.
You're not
Oh,
going to be
yeah, he's not. So let's
Well, you can look at the aerial video.
Let's go now.
It's too light, well, it's raining.
I got jackets.
Any other questions that you might have? Yes.
Why is the plowing gonna be so hard for you to do for us when we live off of Mass Camp Road and that's narrower than the street that we live on? What goes into to plow
We're
that
certainly
road?
looking at what it should be, okay? It should be a 22-foot wide property and those kind of things. And there's a 50-foot right-of-way. I'm not sure that there's a 50-foot right-of-way.
There is.
There, isn't
50 to 55, yeah. Just to clear the record here, since I've been here, somebody had raised the issue of that can never be a town road because the right-of-way is not wide enough. That is hogwash. The plan right there shows 50 or 55-foot right-of-way from the edge. So that argument is no longer part of our discussion here, and that's a fine thing. These other things we've identified, but the right-of-way, as far as I can see on the signed plan, is fine.
you need to look on the edge of your property lines too to see what you got there, because I noticed flying over it that there's some things that almost come right up to the edge of the road. I don't know what it was because I didn't drop my drone down to see, to be able to identify it. But those things would have to come out of the right of way.
Aren't those the utility?
Huh?
Isn't that the utility?
I think it's the mailbox. It's on my property. That
David.
mailbox is right.
It would help us when we go down to do the oversight of the whole thing, is if all the property owners could find their property pins and identify them with a grade stake or something, so that we can visually see where they are and measure from them to assure us that the 50-foot right-of-way is there.
Okay.
It would be a really helpful thing.
Do any of you folks have metal pins with the surveyor's cap on the top? One? That's it?
I have one on the back lawn.
How about out on the front, on the road?
No.
Yeah, we're going by the corner fence.
I have two, I believe two in the back, none in the front.
Yeah, one in the front.
We don't have any at all. But I can
All
put
right,
them.
thank you.
Have we determined a date for the site walk?
We have not.
Are we
That's
gonna?
something, that's something that we'll have to sort out so that we can get all.
Okay.
Ted is away tonight. Dwayne is gonna be away on the 9th, but we'll make sure that we need all, now, 5 of us and Gary and David, so there's 7 of us that gotta coordinate.
We need to do a public notification.
Plus,
for
we
that,
gotta
anyway.
notify people.
Yeah, so I
Gotta
mean,
notify
And we'll
the
publish
public,
that. We'll publish that when we're gonna do that, and we will notify you.
So when we turn down the road, we'll see everybody in lawn chairs lined up all the way around on the,
If there's
maybe
more
we
than
can have a
two,
little cookout or something. And,
We'll bring a little golf cart. Candy.
yeah.
Okay?
you got one more question?
Yes.
Before we close tonight, the only reason why I undertook this crusade again is because the gentleman standing right there. He treated me with respect. He listened to me. He was willing to have a discussion. That has never happened here before. Never. Not in my experience. And he's the sole reason why we are all here tonight, because he explained it to us in a manner which we could prepare and come forward. And I also want to thank all 4 of you for allowing us to discuss the problem. And I certainly realize this is as somebody said, a hornet's nest. I realize that. But I think the group of us can sit down and walk the street and come to an amicable solution to this without somebody behind a microphone saying, no, 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 as long as I'm alive, we're not doing this. Okay? That's not a response. We need to work together. We are part of the town of Waterboro.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Okay?
Thank you. We're gonna move on with our agenda, so you're more than welcome to stay, but my sense of it continued long enough.
I guess not.
No, I'll give you.
I'm gonna get a hold of that guy down there again too,
Oh, the gentleman.
that next door neighbor. So I'll give you the facts.
All right, so we're gonna get back on the agenda here. So, I think we've heard all the public comments tonight, right? Correspondence, we have the treasurer's reports, reports and staff initiatives, selectmen reports, anything, Gordon?
No, I don't, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Tim?
Yes, thank you. We've had 2 members leave the planning board. Judy Carl, who has been on and off again the planning board since the late 80s. And she was a lady that didn't talk a lot, but when she did, usually it was worth listening to. And Lee Nelson spent 5 years on the board as part of that as chairman, and he was a great asset. And hopefully he'll be back someday, but they both did a great job. Appreciate it.
Okay. Dwayne, anything?
Just a comment of the great job that the fire department did Saturday morning on the loss of a motorcyclist up here on the Townhouse Road.
So, yeah.
Okay. Gary and I attended the Eco Maine meeting last week, the annual meeting, which was somewhat informative.
At a global scale.
On a global scale, yeah, we had a lady come in from the recycling industry or something. She gave an interesting talk, but it was really global in nature, but more so than what are we doing here locally. But, just want to remind anybody, and if you're watching this, you already know this, but somewhere we need, and we've got on the front information page a note that the channel, the municipal channel is 1302 to 1305, but I don't know if everybody saw the article in the Sunday paper from, yeah, I'll think of his name in a minute.
Tony Vigu?
No, it wasn't Tony. It was the guy that writes typical articles.
Bill
Nemitz?
Nemitz. Talking about the governor signing this bill and everything, and he suspects that Charter Communications won't do anything about it other than bring their lawyers to the table. But so he had an article in there. And the other thing that I'm not sure that everybody is aware of is on the town website, we now have opened up the GIS so that you can actually go on to that GIS site that's linked on the town office and look at the tax maps, and you can get down to the tax cards and everything else. So all that information is now there, and if anybody has an interest in looking at that stuff. But
It should slow down a little bit of traffic in the office.
it could
Yeah, from your real estate agents and so forth, they love those.
So,
That and the engineers.
other than that, Gary?
I would, to jump in on Dennis's comments, I would say the GIS system is also more accurate. The roads line up with the aerial photos much better than they did before, which is a good thing. And keying off what Tim said about planning board, we have one applicant tonight that the board will decide on. We're also blessed with 2 more very interested parties who have not applied, just so the public knows that, and Lori knows that too as a planning board member. So the only other thing I had was a discussion that went on last night. I attended the Community Center Steering Committee meeting, as did Tim and Gordon. A very energetic meeting because they had invited an architect, Andy Highland, Port City Architects, who had done some work for us in the past, for just some basic initial guidance. And he strongly felt that things should not go forward unless you had a piece of land. And that was not how I was personally approaching going out to bid for some basic drawings. So I called him back this afternoon and said, yeah, you can go ahead and go out and get those very basic drawings, but everybody needs to understand that the piece of land is going to govern what you build. And that's true. But the per square foot price he was quoting us last night was well in excess of $300 a square foot. So the committee is going to look at, I think, different sizes of gymnasium, library, and other areas for voting, and maybe have to put some square footage parameters on that before that RFP is finished, I guess. You folks have anything else to add in that regard from last night?
Yeah, he was saying maybe phase it in with a major part of it and then add a plan to add on in phases. And it's pretty interesting. It was a big help for me.
Okay, anything else, guys?
I didn't really expect that this would be a topic of discussion this evening, because I know we mentioned at the steering committee that we want to get it before the selectmen again to get maybe a consensus or even a vote perhaps on allowing the steering committee to start making some inquiries on parcels of property. And we felt that that was important because when we were going to ask for donations on property first, that, you know, we would be invoking the name of the town within that, so that we thought that because we were invoking the town's name, that it should have the, at least the blessing of the board. So I don't know how much more we want to discuss on this because it's not on the agenda. And
I think we put it on for July 9th.
Yeah, I'll send out an email request and maybe put that on the next agenda.
Okay. Well, we can do that later as we discuss agenda items, so.
Yep.
All right, let's jump to, anything else, Gary? I'm sorry.
No, thank you, that was it.
Under new business, discuss possible vote to appoint an applicant to the planning board for term to expire June 30th, 2024. What is your preference here?
my preference on this is I move that we appoint Kala Godard. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Kala Godard, yes.
Okay. As a member of the planning board. And I know that there was some discussion previous that we might hold off on this vote, you know, pending reviews on the other ones, but I really don't see that that's an issue. I think that, you know, she's here and certainly her qualifications speak very well for herself, and it's not as though, you know, we're not going to have openings on that board, because the way the turnover is that, you know, it's a good thing that we've got a couple of people in the wings on this. I wish that that were the case on several of the other committees that need to be filled. So, you know, I don't really see that there's any benefit to us as a board or the town to delay an appointment. So I move that you know, appointment take place.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you, Kayla, for coming in.
Welcome to the, put on your calendar,
Actually
July
get
10th.
Sherry during the day, well, she'll swear you in, and then you're ready for the
Should get your email.
July 10th meeting.
Okay.
The lady in pink.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business, discuss vote on committee appointments for terms to expire June 30, 2022 and 2024, and staff appointments for terms to expire June 30th, 2020, and I think those are all listed in the packet that was, I can't find it.
Can we do that as a block?
Yeah.
That's what we did.
I would make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved. Let me quickly get out through this. Budget Committee, Thomas Lee. Cable Television Committee, Davis Lowe. Cemetery Committee, Angela Tibbetts. Community Garden, Donna Barati and Sandra Jorgensen. Economic Development Committee, Joseph Nelson. Old Home Days Committee, Karen Turgeon. Public Safety Committee, Nancy Roberge. Road Review Committee, Nancy Roberge. Saco River Community TV Board of Directors, Dave Lowe. And that is through the year 2022. 5-year appointment through 2024, Zoning Board of Appeals, James Southworth. New appointment, term expires June 2022. Old Home Days, Angela Grover, who's previously served on the committee. Staff appointments for terms to expire 2020, June 30th. CEO, Glenn Charette. Deputy CEO, James Alea. Deputy CEO, Michael Demers, and Deputy CEO Michael Kilpatrick. Licensed Plumbing Inspector Glenn Charette. Deputy Licensed Plumbing Inspector James Alea. Deputy Licensed Plumbing Inspector Michael Demers, and Deputy Licensed Plumbing Inspector Michael Kilpatrick. Any questions on any of those?
Yes, I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Regarding Donna Barati, didn't she indicate that she wanted to step down from the committee because of some health reasons?
Budget Committee.
Budget Committee.
Oh, Budget Committee.
This is the community garden.
Oh, this is Community Garden? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for refreshing my memory on that.
All those in favor? Opposed?
4-0.
Motion carries. Back to the agenda. Susie Lane, we've already had plenty of discussion on that. Discuss possible vote of 2018-2019 year-end budget review and account transfers. I didn't see anything there that.
Well, Julie's got blisters on the end of her fingers after this afternoon, but I can tell you this is going to be a short potential discussion because there are no departments here in this document in front of you dated 6/25 that need any transfer. Obviously, we have the carry forwards to do through the end of July as the June bills come in. Rest assured that between the two of us, we will not carry forward something that's going to put a department out of balance. I think that's our job to do that. I think that you trust us to do that.
Well, they will only estimates in the
That's
warrant
right.
anyway, right?
Yes. I can also tell you that on the revenue side, we are at 99.6% of all non-property tax revenue has been collected as of today,
Okay.
which is a very good thing. And the statistics we had last time that you mentioned, Dennis, was property tax collection is very good also. So I don't have anything suggested for you on the department level. If you want to make some individual moves there, you can, but I don't think you have to.
Well, I don't think we're required to. The only ones that we're required to do is from one department to another. So I would say that we're in good shape.
Regarding our income, since the legislature's rested, have we got any updated figures on what we might have for revenue sharing?
Yeah, the revenue sharing should go up by, I think, $45,000. It was going up by another 0.5%. I had budgeted on 2.5, and I think it's going to 3. And I saw a hand over here that
What do you want? What's your wishes, if I could ask, on the only one that's really overexpended is the hydrant rental line? Sorry, I didn't
That's
get
right.
to catch that one, Gary.
well, when we formulated this budget, it was done before, I guess, the PUC regulation and rate increase was in. So we've got that.
I would almost say with that one to leave it, otherwise you're going to be screwing.
That one's $8,000 in the hole. And
Yeah, but you're gonna, when you start to look at public safety as a whole, I think there's certainly
Yes, there's a
revenue, so I would just absorb it into the public safety.
And your water line has been added, Dennis.
Okay.
It's under 85.
Okay.
There's $13,000 left to spend this year.
And as of this report, there's only $370,000 in uncollected current year taxes, which is significantly better than what we've had in the past. So. Any other discussion on that particular point? Sensing none, no old business? Other pending decisions, week's action list, I think we've got that. Discussion of agenda items. Tim, you said you wanted to...
Yeah, we just thought it would be appropriate to, before we go out in the town's name and try to solicit donations of property, that we at least ask the selectmen for their opinion.
what do we want to call that? Do we want to call it an update or next step?
I think it's, let's call it update / next steps, and if you need to vote on it, we'll vote on it.
And also, once again, the medical marijuana location, if that's anything anybody's interested in, we could just pass it to the planning board, or we could just drop it and go with what we have now, which is nothing. I don't know how much of a priority that is for anyone, but they just had a fire in Berwick last week at a medical marijuana grow facility.
But they were all in Scott.
It was well attended by the citizenry.
And I think in Sanford, I think they shut a place down.
Oh, I think there's been more than one.
Yeah.
And they sold out of Doritos and stuff at the local store.
Okay. This is going nowhere. Items needing signatures. There are no minutes because a certain person was on vacation last
I
week,
didn't
so,
do them. Shame on
there
me.
is nothing needing signature tonight, so with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Adjourn that.
Good night.